What's up, everybody, and welcome back to White Widow Sports. Chris, Brian, and Brad here with you. We've got somewhat of a different kind of video for you with a very special guest. 2019 NCAA Indoor Long Jump National Champion Jasmyn Steels. For those of you who don't know, I worked in sports information at the collegiate level in some capacity or another for about 8 years at four different schools. What that basically means is that I was a media relations guy working with news outlets, website management, rosters, record books, stats, videos, graphics, and anything else you could put under an athletics communications umbrella. I met Jasmyn working as a sports information assistant at Northwestern State in Louisiana, where I was assigned to the track and field team among a few other sports. So, without further ado, everybody, welcome Jasmyn Steels.
Awesome. Great
What's up,
Yeah.
introduction.
man?
I feel so special. But no, yeah, definitely 2019 indoor champion. A lot of
Mhm.
things led up to that. And I'm just glad to hear that Northwestern is still excelling in track. I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like I left off, a good team. They're a good team. They always have been. And
Oh
just
yeah.
finally they're getting the wins that they deserve. So
Now, I just want to say something a little personally flattering at first here, which is why you came to mind as a hopeful guest on here. Not only is Jasmyn here a phenomenal athlete, she's actually a really cool girl. And not to give her all the praise, because in going to practices and going on road trips and doing interviews and stuff, I found that that particular track team was some of the coolest people that I worked with in my 8 years or so at it. Speedy, Kelsey Frank, Jay Terrell, Jeter, as he likes to go by on social media at least. Lauren Clark, maybe because she was the only high jumper, and that was my track event in the past as well. And several athletes. You were all just really approachable and really fun. You guys seem to have a lot of fun. You were always positive, which is something I can't say about every team. Maybe say women's basketball teams that I traveled with, they were always pretty miserable. So yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, no, I came from a great team. My coach at the time really kind of set the tone from the beginning. He wanted a specific team, and we all kind of followed suit. Um, Eventually, we did get pretty close. I mean, guys and girls training together. We're all pushing each other to go to be the best and be better. I mean, we're a small D1 school, thinking that all these schools can't compete against us, or us thinking that we can't compete against them. But we can make it to nationals and just like them. So we kind of had to be positive. We were very tight knit. And like I said, he set the standard. We wanted to be set apart from the throwers. We wanted to be set apart from the sprinters, the hurdlers. We want people to know we are on it, we are good, and we win. So
Well, obviously, that championship mindset was not only contagious amongst the group, but I mean, something that really led you to where you were. I mean, obviously, it paid off.
yeah, no, it definitely did. And it's so funny because I had so many different motivations that then they had nothing to do with track or what. It was just life. My main motivation for excelling in track was simply just not get my scholarship taken away. And I was like, I remember going up to Coach Mike or Heimerman,
Yeah.
saying like, "Oh no, I didn't place. Is my scholarship gonna be taken away?" And, or just asking, or just saying like, "I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna get these points so I can keep my scholarship." I was very motivated to keep that. And this just sounds so stupid, but so my freshman year, they had to have like the academic center checked on their athletes to make sure we were in class. And I've never been an irresponsible person, but I was like, hey, I'm off in college. Why am I getting checked up on? So I remember going to I don't remember who was above the academic center at the time, but I remember going to them. I was like, how did I get these people off of my back? And they were just, oh, well, if you get a 4.0 GPA in your first semester, we won't bother you anymore. And I was like, cool. That was my only motivation to do well. That I was like, bet I can do that. Just stop watching me. Like I'm 18. I'm in college. Leave me alone. Um,
Jasmine
so
said, "Say less. I'll be at school."
no, literally, it was literally that. I'll be at school. I will get a 4.0. That's awesome. So eventually, obviously, they fell off, but I had completely different motivations of being on the track. I just wanted to make sure I'm staying here, and I get through school. Simple as that. I really had. It sounds so bad. Way back as a freshman, I had no intention of, honestly, I wouldn't say not excelling, but I had no intentions of going as far as I did. I was just hanging out.
And I feel like we danced around this, but we didn't give a shout out to the coach. And oh, I should have really gotten. I shouldn't be struggling with this. Was it Tyron?
Tired. We still talk to this day.
Which Tyron?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but
Okay. Let's get into the fun stuff here. So you won the 2019 indoor long jump championship with let's see if I got this right, 21 feet 2 inches and a half jump, and you actually beat a girl from Texas A&M, a school that was very close to your upbringing at A&M Consolidated High School, and didn't actually recruit you. We spoke about that little nugget in person several years back. But now the gloves can be taken off if you'd like them to. Let me first give them the benefit of the doubt. They did get a really good long jumper on their roster. She finished second in that particular competition. But did it ever occur to you to think I showed you, or you guys screwed up by not coming after me?
honestly, I never, in a way, I was kind of like disappointed, and kind of not even at them. It was just me, like, oh man, like I could have been there. I could have did that. I could have had a different route. Kind of honest, I had some regret. I did have some regret. I in high school, I was very much concerned about getting into college. I'd signed early. I think there's what are the signing periods? I know there's one in February, and then maybe one later on in May. That sounds in high school, but that
Mhm.
sounds right. I don't know, but I wanted to sign. I wanted to sign. I was actually signed to, or I verbally signed to Sam Houston,
Oh, okay.
which, yeah, and but they had offered me half a scholarship, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm better than that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm beating the girls, or at least keeping up with the girls that are already here. So I just feel like I'm better, but that's kind of all I kind of had. Anyways, I did a tour at San Marcos. They offered me 30%. And then and then that coach said he knew somebody in Louisiana. And I was like, okay. Um, and I went and took a tour on my own. Just my mom and I went. And I was like, honestly, as long as they have a track, I'm good. I grew up in a small town that didn't have a track. So I wanted to make sure they had a track. So I was like, if they have a track, let me go look at it. It looks good. I'm there. That's fine because it was a full scholarship. So that's why I signed early, and I just went ahead. I was like, I'm taking that. Honestly, I did get a letter from A&M way late. I think like maybe like June, late May. It was just way too late, and I was like, no, I've signed here. I have a full scholarship here. I'm gonna make my choice and go. I don't even remember what they had. I don't even remember what the letter said. They might have offered something, maybe
Hmm.
20%
Oh,
in some, yeah. So it just wasn't, it probably wouldn't have been worth it. I would have had to like kind of work my way up to a full scholarship, which would have been fine, but
yeah,
I was just like, let me go. And honestly, now back then I regretted it. Back then I did. But
yeah.
now I'm like, you know what? Thank goodness I went out of state. Thank goodness I went somewhere. Thank goodness I tried it. And I think it just helps me grow into kind of who I am today. It's been a fun time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And for Brad and Brian, who may not know, NSU is actually, like she said, a smaller Division 1 school, but like they do have a track history, and it's honestly more in the sprints. And I'd love to, not that not that he may watch, but Adam Pennington is often very praised. He's not even the head coach; he's the sprints coach, and they have a very good sprinting program. And so, to come in there and see the jumps really just take off was like just elevated the whole program, I think. Um, Now, looking at the records, you had some better jumps than you did in that championship, which I feel a little embarrassed because I was in control of those record books. You hit 22 feet and a fourth, which is still the school record. Is that your PR to this day?
And to this day, I never got past it. And I wanted to so bad. So bad. I just couldn't get there. But I did try. I have by the end, I think by the end of my career, or at least Olympic trials, you you kind of, as an athlete, you kind of realize where you sit. How bad do you want it? How bad do you need it? How bad do you need this in your life? And at some point, you have to have that talk with yourself as an athlete and say, look, if I hit my peak, then I hit my peak. And that's okay. But no, I never got it again. But 2022 or 20, what was it? 22 1. Look, I don't even know. 22 1 and a quarter,
Or 22 feet and a fourth of an inch.
22 feet and a fourth. Now that meet was insane though. That meet was
What meet
the
was that? Because I mean,
this
I
was
think I wrote this down.
no, yeah, you probably did, but this is
I
at
did the
UT.
records books at the time, so I am the one that put this in the media
You
guide. So I
did.
should be smarter than I am right now.
That's hilarious. No, this was at UT Outdoor Nationals. So it's the same year. It was still 2019, but we just moved into outdoor, and it was at UT,
Okay.
and it was awesome. I had the most amazing time at that. That was like one jump off. I finally had a jump off. That's what it was.
Mhm.
So me and this girl and I, she was from Florida, um, Giannis. Yeah, we were just jumping off. So finally gets to the end. I'm I'm jumping like really good. I started off with like a 21.6. I was like, let's go. PR, great. So then she jumps like a 21.7. I'm like, okay. I jump a 21.9. She jumps a 21.9 and a quarter or something like, whatever, something like that. But whatever. It's a good series. This is probably one of my best series. So finally we get in the finals and I believe I jump at 22.11 and she jumps at 22 or sorry, 21.11. She jumps to 21.11 and a half. And then I jump out that 22 and I was like, let's go. I'm in this. This girl jumped out at 22.5. And I was like, so it was just a constant back and forth. And I've never quite had that yet. And for me, competition in practice, it's not the same as competition in an actual competition. So it was awesome to actually really have that. And man, I did get second, don't get me wrong, but really good recognition. That was probably one of my top meets.
One more main point here, and I'll let the other guys talk a little. So I left and went on to my next gig. You still had a season to go. I tried to follow you guys a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeing you won another conference championship after I left, but you didn't make it back to nationals. However, you did go on to the Olympic trials for Team USA. I've seen the pictures on social and everything. And my research shows that had you hit one of your best jumps, you would have actually made the Olympic team. Not to bring up some sour memories, but what was the whole Olympic trial process like?
Man, it was difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Man, it was difficult. And not even just competing wise, just being in the environment, being at that higher level. Like these are athletes. This is their career. And they already had that mindset. I'm just, like I said, I was just hanging out in college. I didn't really even think of going. And then it didn't even hit me. It's just one of those, like, it's an insecurity thing. Do I belong? Do I fit in? These are high level, top quality athletes. And so just my trials, yeah, if I hit that, definitely would have been on the team for sure, absolutely. And but I'm an NSU. The way I traveled there, my first meal landing was a gas station salad, and yeah, like it was not. I was not set up for success. And I think our drive was like a 3 hour drive because flying to Oregon is a hectic
Mhm.
experience as it is. Um, but I think we had to land in some place and we drove 3 hours in an Uber to get to where we're headed. It was just I'm like I'm exhausted. I'm starving. I'm probably dehydrated from the plane.
Yeah.
So all these things and even and the night before, the few days before, I had great practices. Just went to the track, got in the environment, really felt it out. um it's just probably at that time was not confident during competition. Like I said, you see top level
Mhm.
athletes performing, and if you don't really feel like you fit in, it's all a mind game. Track is a mind game, and I have not mastered that. um So yeah, so when you just see that and you're like, oh man, they're really jumping. I really need to bring my A game. I'm gonna have all this pressure on me. I need to do this. I need to do that. Just now, I'm not even competing how I want to compete, and it was unfortunate. I think at that time I was like 14. I had to be like placed number 14 in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it.
Wasn't it the
I
Florida girl that beat you out by a few inches?
yeah.
Again, not to bring up sour memories, but, like,
Oh,
isn't it her, like, only inches off?
no, and she did, but like I had horrible jumps. I was jumping 20 foot,
Yeah, yeah.
like a 20 foot five, maybe 20 foot two. It was so bad. And even at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, don't freak out, don't freak out. But I'm freaking out. So I'm like, I know I'm better than this. But it was unfortunate. Like it was not a good series. I wish I did better, obviously. But I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's
is what
probably
it is.
cool to s it's probably cool to see all, the was it at it was at Oregon?
It was
The
in, it was at
Nike
Oregon.
yeah, yeah. It's
It
probably
was
cool to
awesome.
see all that though, yeah.
It was awesome seeing all the athletes, Allison Felix, Cindy McLaughlin, honestly, even Tara Davis. You're just like, whoa,
Yeah.
these Jasmyn Moore. Oh my gosh, she's been doing great in the Olympics, but and just competing regardless. But you
Yeah.
just see all these people that you've kind of watched and kind of like, oh hey, how do I hit that technical um form? How do I get that fast? How do I do that? So you're just actually seeing them in person. It is a really cool experience, and honestly, even to perform at that level, like no, not that I want to let some of y'all ask some questions, but I don't want to move on too much.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I did try to compete professionally. I moved out of Louisiana because, like I said, I did my time. I graduated from grad school, and I moved on.
Mhm.
But I wanted to train in Dallas. My coach was from Dallas, and I was like, cool. Well, I'm from Texas. Let's go. So I got my first full time big girl job, trying to train. I'm saying I'm working 7 to 6, trying to train. I was like, this is not working. This is not working. And so I had it was just I had to let it go. So I was like, cool, cool, cool. And then actually I gave it a year. I was like, let me take my mind off of it. Obviously, I'm staying in shape, working out, all the above. But I had met somebody and they kind of motivated me to try again. So I started training again. When was this? Probably last year. Back in 2020. No, well, 2023. So 2023 before the Olympics. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go try again. I'm still in shape. I
Mhm.
can still go jump. I can go compete. I can at least try to go get some marks.
Mhm.
And I did. I actually did a really good job. I left. Yeah, I just I did a good job. I jumped. I left off where I jumped in college. It
Mhm.
jumped. I jumped from 2021. I think I jumped to 21 2 at a meet.
Oh.
Um, yeah, I was just like, let me just go try it out. So I got in shape again. I got in running shape. I had been jumping. I was just going up there after work. By this time I'm teaching, so I have a better schedule. At least I'm
Mhm.
around athletics. So yeah, I was pretty active. And I thought I'd try. I did I think like three meets, maybe 3 or 4. I just did indoor, but I was like, all right, I'm done here. Like, a lot of money. Obviously, I'm funding myself. I have no sponsors, so y'all know how it goes, especially in track
Yeah.
world. So I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done here. Let me just stay in shape and call it
And be
a day.
and before I let these 2 jump in here, no pun intended, because they don't know too much about, the track world. Her best jump is actually I think it was probably good enough to place, like I don't know about nationally, but, like, she could have gotten maybe 6th or 7th in the men's conference championship at that jump. I may be a little off on that, but, like, her jump was good enough to compete with the guys. So,
Yeah,
It's
I'll
awesome.
let you
I
guys
was
ask a few
getting.
things. I got some bullet points here that I'll jump into, but I'll let you guys ask away anything you got.
Well, I know you kind of touched on, I've only got a couple things, but I know you touched on kind of how your jumping career ended, so to speak. But I want to go back to the very beginning. So I think the three of us, we all played football when we were younger. Some kids, start off with like T-ball and go into baseball and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But going back to when you first started, how did you get into track? Where did you learn that skill of like, hey, if I've got a running start, I can jump pretty far and turn that into something that you really wanted to compete and be successful at?
Yeah, for sure. I have a whole story, y'all. Um, I grew up in a really small town called Frost, Texas. I don't know if anybody has heard of that.
Maybe from your
Once.
bio.
Right. Y'all need to look it up one day. It's very
Okay.
small. So very like I'm serious. Like go Google it. It's gonna say Frost, Texas. It's this big. But no, I grew up there from like the third grade until my freshman year of high school. So I'm this is a K through 12 school. Everybody knows everybody. If you did not play the sport, we would not probably wouldn't have a team. Um, so that's kind of how I started. I kind of always loved sports. My mom had put me in basketball like in second grade. I was horrible, but I was in it. Basketball was my first sport that I truly fell in love with.
Mine too.
But I played all sports. I did by fifth grade. I'm heavily involved in basketball. Basketball is like my sport. But then as the season or as school goes, it's volleyball or cheerleading, volleyball, um, track, soccer. No, we didn't have soccer. Softball, tennis, whatever. So we go through all these sports. And so I actually started track in seventh grade. I did every single sport. Track is just I always knew I was fast. I knew I was fast. I've never been a slow runner. So I was like, cool, yeah, let me do track. And then but my coach at the time, greatest coach ever. Yes, I do rank my coaches.
No offense,
Shout them
Tyron.
out.
Right, don't we all? Don't tell Tyron. Don't tell Tyron.
Yeah, don't. No offense, Tyron.
Right, but no, my coach, he was like, Jasmyn, in basketball, you're our best rebounder. I was more of the defensive player. I was not. Do not. I cannot shoot. He was like, Jasmyn, don't shoot, but you can defend. But he was like, you're a good rebounder. I want you to try jumps. And I was like, okay. So he just taught me the basics. He was like, just run. When you get to the board, you'll jump off 1 foot and jump. He taught me the triple jump. He said, do you know how to skip? So I would do a few skipping things, and eventually I just stayed with it. And actually, since I lived in Frost, we did not have a track, which I said earlier. We
Mhm.
had to get on a bus and drive 5 minutes down the road to go to the school next door, the town next door, track. So we would have to go there during track season, and we would go work out with the people there at that school at that track. So that's why I always wanted it. I was like, I need to have a track because all throughout most of my life I did not have a track. Um, but yeah, so I started in seventh grade, mostly everything, and I did all sports all the way up until probably my junior year. About junior year, I had moved back to College Station. My family just said, all right, we've had enough of the small town, let's go. I finished my freshman year there in Frost. I was playing basketball at the time. I had to finish championships, obviously,
Mhm.
or
Sure.
playoffs. And my sophomore year, I joined it. At this school I could only do two sports, so I picked basketball and track. And I actually had a really bad basketball experience. I was like,
Mm.
okay, we don't play like this in Frost. Where there's no teaching here. They kind of just expected me to know it. I was just like a new girl coming in, and I was just like, okay, if y'all don't see a career with me in basketball, I'm gonna move on. So I played my sophomore year. After that, I dipped, and I took my sister's track clothes the day basketball was over because I'm not a quitter. But the day basketball was over, I was like, Alexia, my sister, I was like, I need your track clothes. I will meet you at track practice. Thank you. Um, and I ran out there, and I was ready to go. I actually did everything. I was on the 4x1, the 4x4. I did hurdles, jumps, long jump, triple jump, high jump. I did 300-meter hurdles. I did it all, probably except for the 800. I've never done anything above 400. But yeah, I ran, and I was actually a pretty good sprinter. But I was like, when I got recruited for jumps, I was like, thank God, I don't have to run anymore. Lo and
Yeah.
behold, we get to college, we're running 10 times more. Man.
Man.
But yeah, that's how that all started. Even in my senior year of high school, I told my coaches at the time, I was like, prepare me for college. I'm not about to go in there out of shape. I need you to get me ready. So do whatever you want. I'll do whatever workout. Let's get this started. So
Yeah, that's
And I
pretty
have a
cool. Like I said, I think a lot of us we start in a sport, and a lot of times we have to find what our strengths are. What you're good at when you're 6 is not necessarily what you're going to be good at 16. So that was just kind of that story that I was looking for. Is how did you discover what your talent is? And it sounds like it was a lot of gateway sports almost. You started in basketball, you're like, hey, I can't really shoot for anything, but I can block shots, I can rebound, stuff like that. So you found your jumping skill through that. I think that's really cool. And then the only other question that I had was, you mentioned you started off with a little bit of regret that maybe you didn't get that Texas A&M experience that you were probably hoping for, being in College Station, not getting recruited, but then getting kind of that sweet revenge in a sense of like, okay, well, I'm gonna beat the girl that you took over me to win this gold medal.
Oh
Baller
yeah.
move. I love that part of the story.
Yeah.
But do you think you would have been as successful as you were if you had gone to Texas A&M? Because you talked about the team component of where you were at with NSU, how much that drove you and how much of that team experience, of making everybody want to be better, how much of that really impact your success on a personal level that you probably wouldn't have reached the same height somewhere else.
Yeah, no, we've talked about it. I've had this conversation so many times. I I would say no. I don't think I would have excelled. I think I would have been another athlete. Just, hey, I'm on the team. No, I don't think a bigger school. I would have lost track. I'm not gonna lie. I probably would have got sidetracked, especially in a town that I went to high school in. Mm-mm.
Jokes too. Sidetracked. I got it.
You got that? Thank you.
Yep, yep.
But no, I think the smaller school was a good choice. It got me out of my shell. And I say now, obviously back then, I'm like, dang, that could have been me. Obviously, I want all the gear, but it's just gear. The way I trained in Natchitoches was, I feel like those bigger schools could not do what we did at NSU.
Mhm.
We did so many creative things and tried out new things all the time. Used what we could. Our training was actually pretty aggressive. I'm not gonna lie. We used those Turpin Stadium. We
Yeah.
did stadium constantly. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
constantly, but we had circuits that we would go
Mhm.
through. But single leg hops to the top, double leg hops to the top, like 2 or 3 times each leg. That's aggressive. Single leg. But no, I don't think I would have excelled. I think I had the training that I needed because, like I said, track is a mindset. Track is a mindset. If you're doing the right things, if you're doing 100% in your work, you're gonna excel regardless. Uh, and speaking of those stadiums, my coach actually went back and did that workout that he put us through, and he was like, "Oh, never again. I didn't realize it was that hard. My bad." and we and we were like, "What?" Because we've done the workout at least 2 times, and so we were just like, "Really?" But
It's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned the city that NSU is in,
Oh,
and I feel
God.
like we missed a golden opportunity to put that on the screen and let my brother try to pronounce it because
so
I guarantee you he wouldn't have been able to guess it anywhere close to what it actually
No
is.
one is, man. No one is.
I
nobody
think the first
knows.
time I talked to Chris about it, I said, "Are you still living in Natchitoches?" And he was like, "What was that?"
No, that's fair enough, actually.
That's it.
All right.
That's funny.
I do have one more thing that I want to ask you at the end, but I want to let Brian jump in here. I know he's got some stuff he wants to ask you about as well.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
do. So I went through as a parent of my son ran track, and growing up, I was a baseball coach, a basketball coach, a football coach. To my kids, never coach track, and so I've got that mindset of, okay, this is going to be really hype, really fun, and it was really not. As a parent, I was just like, this is like 4 hours of torture. To hear you talk about the whole college experience, I was, I don't know, really engaged to see, okay, maybe I looked at it as a parent, maybe I looked at it wrong. I should have been paying attention to this and that instead of just focused. I mean, as a parent, I think you focus on your kid, and it's not about that. So that's really just a comment, not a question. Going back to the coaching that you mentioned, um, a good coach is everything. We had Mary, uh, Chris's wife, on a couple of weeks ago, and we were really talking about coaching and special needs. But you kind of said it as well. Coaching is everything. Special needs, not special needs. It's really, really important to have those good coaches, to have those mentors growing up. I think you answered it a little bit ago. You do speak to your college coach still today. Do you still go back and speak to your high school coach, your middle school coach, the people that really got you started in track and field?
Yeah. Everything you said is correct. One, as a track parent, as a track person, every single one of us is questioning why we're here. You're not, no, every single one of us. Why did I pick a 13-hour day
Yeah.
sport? What's wrong with me? But yeah, no, I do. Tyron and I, we probably are the closest of our coaches. He was my last and final coach, and he just got to see me grow up. At this point, we've known each other for 7 years, 7 or 8 years. So since we met when I was 18, so closest coach, and then my high school and middle school coaches. Yeah, I mean, we follow each other on Facebook. Don't get me wrong. It's been so long. I think we do send a few messages back and forth. Hey, I'm good. This is what I have going on. Um, but no, but every day, and I'm gonna say every day, but very often I do think like I'm that coach back then really made me the athlete I am. He really instilled that mindset. He was a winner. He was a winner. He was like, we are gonna, and hard work, not even a winner, hard work. Because hard work, the workouts I've done, and just even starting from an early age, my training has been intense. Um, so just keeping that in me and that discipline. Honestly, he helped me with discipline. That's what that is. You have got to be a disciplined person, honestly, to do anything. I'm gonna go with that, not just a sport, to do anything. There are habits I've tried to break, and I need to be disciplined. So um, yeah, I do thank them. I do see them. Even my high school coaches, they're on my Facebook, and I'm seeing them grow up, and they're seeing me grow up, and it's fun. I, we
Absolutely.
hit each other up.
And you said it all there. A good coach will just strive you not in the sport that you're in at that moment, but just in life. I know talking with Chris, he said you are entrepreneur of some sort. We heard that you're a teacher. You got a lot of different things going on right now, and I've got to credit your coaches that because I don't most people do not have that drive, that passion to start a business. I've done it. It is probably the hardest thing in the world to do. To start with nothing, even if you have a little bit of backing, it's not enough. It is just incredibly tough, mentally, physically, depending on the business that you're getting into. So I I I give all the credit in the world, for my college degree, who I am today, where I'm at in my life, all back to my coaches when I was younger. I never played collegiate, but I did play in high school and middle school and, growing up. And you get that mindset. Like you said, if you've got a winning coach, they will teach you how to win and be successful in whatever you're doing.
Man,
Yeah.
thank you, Brian. That's exactly right. Because just yeah, I do everything. I am a teacher. My first job out of college, I worked at Enterprise, the rental.
Mhm.
I hated it. I hated
Yeah.
it. I was there for a year. I promoted pretty well. I'm not gonna lie, but I was like, customer service is a no go. Like, what was I thinking?
Well, there
And
goes that
sales.
enterprise sponsorship I was trying to get us. Thanks, Jasmine.
You're welcome. Please buy for us. That's hilarious. But no, I spent a year there, and my friends were like, "Hey, go try teaching and coaching. Go teach and coach." And I was very pros and cons. Everybody was telling me, "Jasmine, no, you're not. You're very impatient. You can't do it. I don't know if you could work with kids." And I was like, "What do you mean? I've worked with kids my whole life. I'm childish. Like, come on." But so finally I get into this school. I get into this, it's a junior high, starting junior high. Y'all,
Mhm.
I teach English.
Mm.
And I coach. So I've coached volleyball and track and cross country. And then I moved on into high school and I did freshman and did track there as well. And then now I'm at juniors and sophomores. And um, I told myself, you know what? I didn't even go to school for teaching. I'll give myself teaching for 5 years. I'll teach for 5 years. But in between that 5 years, I want to, what do I really want to do? And it sounds so bad. I know we were supposed to do that in college, but I, I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about passing the class.
And jumping.
um, right, and jumping. That was my only concern. Being on the track, passing class. That's it. Did I ever think about? I mean, yeah, I thought about life, but I've never really thought, what do I want to do? And I can never pinpoint it. So far, I'm teaching, yeah. And I was like I said, I'll teach for 5 years, but let me figure it out. I moved into IT. Like in 2023, I started researching. I was like, you know what? I have a lot of skills. I'm not gonna lie, and I get bored. So what can I do that makes me some money? I like to be on the computer. Let me try it out. So I started doing IT, and I did this boot camp, learning and all the above. Then I got me a part-time IT job. This year I'm not coaching because I wanted to build my skills. So I just got a part-time job in IT. And I actually have a mentor. I've met so many people in Dallas. I still have mentors, and I still talk to the woman I lived with in college. I lived with an older woman in college. Yeah.
Hmm.
I had to be about 75, and greatest time of my life. Greatest time of my life. And I still talk to her, but I have all these mentors. I met somebody in Dallas, and we've known each other for probably 5 years now. And I started working for him. I realized he needed some help. So I was like, teach me
Mhm.
what you need to know, to, and I will help you. I will be your assistant. I'll help you out. Just teach it to me. Cool. He's taught me. We've been working together for almost uh 2 years now. And then yeah, and then since I'm working for him, I was like, okay, well, let me start a business, and I can go. He can mentor me on how to do that. So I moved on, or well, I started a business and just building from there. And it's bookkeeping. I like it. I just feel like college kind of gave me all these skills to learn more. Not really learn anything, but just to kind of learn how to learn. Um, yeah, life has been fun. Life's been fun. I think honestly, the discipline with track. I tell my students all the time, the best thing that has ever happened to me was being a college athlete. Being a college athlete, it had helped me be disciplined. And I don't know if y'all have seen teenagers these days and just how they are. I'm like, I need y'all to do a bit better, okay? Because there's no way. I'm like, my standards are here, and I really need y'all to. I grew up reading books. Like I said, I grew up in a country town, a very small
Mm.
town. I grew up reading books, staying in the library, staying out of trouble, going to the park, running around outside, and all the above. And these kids are glued to their phones. It's crazy. Um, but just how to be personable and all the above. I do like teaching. It's pretty fun. Kind of just seeing, hey, I hope that I can inspire you in life, and I am a part of your life experience. You're welcome.
And
Well,
Brian,
Jasmyn,
not to,
I've only known you for like 45 minutes now. Uh, but I did want to turn the heat up one more time because I'm catching a vibe that
yeah.
maybe you don't necessarily care about being PC all the time. And if you've got an opinion, you'll give it freely, right? Am I
Yeah,
on?
I'm very straightforward.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So I want your
Oh God.
opinion. You are no
Oh,
longer in a place in your life where you care to either have a whole city backing you or a whole city hating you. Talk to me about these meat pies. I need to know, are they really that special, or am I
I'm
not missing
dead.
anything?
that's what I
You
got
know
in trouble.
what? And I don't care. And I don't care. They're not good. They're
Hey.
not good to me. To me, it's a. Do y'all know what an empanada is?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It's an
This
empanada.
conversation happened before you got on.
That's
I said
crazy.
it's just an
I'm
empanada,
telling
and it's not horrible, but it's not good either. It's not special.
exactly that. It's not horrible. It's not good. It's meat stuffed in a thing. It's not good. I would not drive to Natchitoches. I would not drive to Louisiana for a meat pie. That's for sure.
They're like, we're
I mean, I didn't
famous
have
for
any
meat.
plans on it, but maybe if you had endorsed it, I would at least, if I'm in the
Yeah.
neighborhood, I'll check it out. But
You won't be in the
Oh man.
neighborhood.
And speaking of endorsements, the NI because can't college athletes get sponsorship now,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
insane. That started about like a year after I graduated. I was so mad.
You
Oh.
missed out.
And
I
not to back,
did. I was like, what'd you say, Chris?
I said not to backtrack too far, but something Brian said. Does it get more exciting or is it just really long? Dude, it stayed that long, and Jasmine may remember this one, and maybe it wasn't the worst one, but I got on the bus with you guys for the 2-day meet at, I want to say it was Stephen F. Austin, and it seemed to go on for like 11 and a half hours. We got on a bus, went back, what was it, like an hour and a half back home, and then we got on the bus the next morning, went back, sat there for like, I don't know, 6 hours, and then it was just canceled. Like lightning just canceled it all out. And it was, it was a bit, the action's great, don't get me wrong. I was a track guy myself, but I would go down and try to get interviews after jumps or sprints or anything like that. And they might have a jump and it might be like 40 minutes till their next jump. And it was just, it was it was a bit rough. I had a few more bullet points here, but I was gonna let the guys see if they had anything else that they wanted to throw out there.
I'm
Let's
good.
No, I
I
believe
see.
we're
think
good.
Yeah, let me know. But Chris, actually, that meet,
Yeah.
in track and field, when you get to a high enough level, you have to be very strategic
Hmm.
and just how you're going to treat your body,
Hmm.
right? Yes, there was a bus at 5 a.m. that left at 5 a.m. I think it was a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
And then yeah, they would go and sit and then whatever. But my coach, we were, because I did long jump and triple jump.
Right.
Sometimes when I would triple jump, it was just for training
Hmm.
purposes. Even high jump. High jump was just for training purposes. That was had nothing to do with me wanting to actually excel or compete. And that I was just training for something for long jump.
Hmm.
Um, so, but no, those meets are strategic because my coach was like, "Oh, okay, you're a long jumper, but you can triple jump at this meet because they're triple jumping at noon,
Hmm. Yeah.
or like 3 o'clock. That way, you don't have to get on the 5 a.m. bus. You can come on the second bus and be there on time. You can jump and leave on that first bus out. I'm like, bet that's our plan. So whenever we would go to meets, we would have to figure out, hey, I long jumped here. I need to skip a few meets and and jump here, but in between I need to do high jump and triple jump just to make sure my body's staying moving. But all those meets were insane. I remember coming back at 7 a.m. and we had to go to class. I was like, oh no, oh no.
I was not aware there was more than one bus. No one told me this. Uh,
No, you're fine. There, no, like all this stuff. Like we traveled in a crazy way.
oh wait, there
I've
was
been
more than
falling
one
off the
bus.
buses constantly. It was aggressive.
I forgot. I think I went on a couple trips with you guys in that time. Something I did want to mention, and maybe it's not that relevant, but like I've not been able to talk about it with anybody else, and these guys don't know this. I don't think the guy who replaced me as a sports info assistant, he became a GA, I believe. He just up and died in the middle of the season, and I won't name any names out of respect for him and his family or whatever. I saw he post pictures with you guys at parties and stuff, which I kind of thought was against some kind of a rule, but I guess he was technically a student and I wasn't. So maybe not different lenses. But then I hear he comes back from Christmas and he's in the hospital for like, and he's yellow and he has liver failure, and then he dies at like 39 years old. And I just didn't know, like, was that something that the track team was like, whoa?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. He was our friend. Yeah. He
Oh
was
yeah.
in
Okay.
grad school. Yeah, we were in grad school together. So I had graduated in 3 years, not 4 years, right?
Mhm. Oh,
So
okay.
I got to that's how I got into my master's program. I had a year of eligibility. So I was like, cool, let me continue on. So I had basically skipped a grade. So one of my old friends, I won't name names, but she had left and then came back for grad school.
Mhm.
Um, but we were in grad school together, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I know you." And at this point, I'm like super senior, so I'm like, "Okay, I'm not fitting in with the freshmen or sophomores anymore." Here
Mhm.
we go. So, but I'm like, I remember you, and we just became friends with everybody. It was a very small knit grad class,
Mhm.
and yeah, that was our friend. That's exactly what happened. He came back from winter break, and he
Mhm.
was all yellow I was like, why is this dude yellow? Come to find out, that poor guy, I had no idea he had a problem. Nobody was in tune at all. He would like drink during class.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and but nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. We he would have a clear bottle. He would chime in during class. There, actual, good conversation. Maybe some random things here and there, but whatever. Yeah, and then he passed away. We had just had a party. My
Mhm,
birthday's in December,
mhm,
so I think we did like a end of the year grad party, and obviously
mhm.
it's for my birthday. It's not.
Yeah.
But we had a grad party and we were there, and yeah, I had the best time, took some pics. um Come to find out, he passed away, and then COVID started. um Man, COVID started. I was in New Mexico. Man, I was competing. That was the
Mhm.
my last competition. What, 2020? Yeah, so it's supposed to be 2020 indoor championships, and I was ready to beat everybody. I was like, bet, I'm against Florida again, A&M again. Let's go, UT, easy. Yeah, and my coach and I, we were actually having lunch before I went to the track. We'd stopped to get
Mhm.
something to eat, and we just starting getting calls. A&M dropped out, and I was like, bet, I'm winning. I'm winning. There's no competition. And then they're like, Florida dropped out, and I was like, okay, whatever. And we just keep getting these calls. We finally get to the track. Um, I think I had started my warm up. I started warming up, and they were like, meet's canceled. Go home. I did a few run throughs on the runway, did a pop up, and we had to leave. And that was that.
That's a shame.
It was so sad.
So I know you said you still jumped a little bit pretty recently, but we're friends on Facebook and everything. I saw that you have done a lot of running lately. You did some 5Ks. It looked like it was not a casual 5K. It looked like it was very competitive. What does your athletic life look like today?
I'm dead. No, actually did randomly sign up for that. I was actually walking into my school, and there was a poster, October Fun Run, sign up here, and I was just like, you know what? Sure. Athleticism, it's still there for sure. I work out still probably 4 to 5 times a week. I have a home gym. I'm running around outside. I love being outside. I still love running. I do lift. My boyfriend, he's very active, so I told him that. I was like, look, if you're gonna be in a life with me, I need you to be active. You have to. So yeah, no, I'm still active all the time. I love it. I told myself after college, I'm not getting out of shape. I
Right.
refuse to get out of shape unless I
We all
really
tell
have to.
ourselves that.
Man, we all tell it, and I've been
Yeah.
hanging on. There have been times I've had to hang on. Like, look, I haven't worked
Hmm.
out in once in 3 weeks. Let me move around. But no, getting in shape is so hard. So I was like, you know what? Let me make sure I'm staying consistent. I really don't want to be fat. So,
I feel you.
but yeah, no, athleticism is definitely still there. It's hard going to the gym.
Rub it
My
in.
workouts are not in shape. It's hard going to the gym. Only because I have to watch people who are unathletic.
Non-athletic regular people, something we heard
Yeah,
from
Yeah.
athletes while we were in college. We didn't
The
like that term.
NARPs.
Yeah, the
the
NARPs, we didn't
darts.
like that term.
We didn't like that. I feel so bad, but it's just like, let me let it go. I'm a nobody. Who am I? Who am I?
I wouldn't say
But
that
no,
much.
that's true. But no,
Well, Chris
it's
actually took
fun.
that personally because we were like, wait a minute, we might be regular people, but you don't have to stick us with a non-athletic tag.
Yeah.
That's not the valid
You
category.
want to call me non-athletic at 33, that's fine. I'll hold that L. But at 20, no, 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 no. We're
Right?
Yeah,
not
yeah,
playing
hold
that.
on, there's some athleticism here still.
That's hilarious. But no, it's let me see. I have done some training on the side.
Mhm,
Over the summer, I teach, so I just really kind of just do stuff to get my skills up. So I did lifeguarding. I did coach and train some people throughout the summers. I usually do that, and just do summer track coaching or club volleyball. Kind of just get involved in some type of active something, just to kind of get some competition. The other day, actually, I went on a date, and I was in the middle of a darts tournament. That's it's kind of just doing random stuff to make sure you still get some competition in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. I
guess.
think Brian and I had the same reaction. You mentioned an October fun run. I don't think that there's any type of run that I would consider fun at this
I
point.
agree.
I
Yeah,
mean, maybe
it was
like running to Taco Bell to get some Baja Blast. That would be fun, but a fun run.
a,
I'm not signing up for that.
no, and I don't blame you. I like it. I like being at a certain in a certain shape. And honestly, my workouts are not as intense. Like a workout that I do, it's still pretty intense, but it's just not the same as a track schedule. I definitely don't run as much, but I do consistently run. More mileage now. I'm not gonna go out there and sprint. Um even I get exhausted. Um, don't get me wrong, when I see sand, obviously I want to jump. Uh, but no, and the 5K, it was a 5K. It was only 3 miles, and my goal was just not stop. I just wanted to continue to run. And yeah, I just did a quick little 5K, and it was a fun run. It was like family and friends. I think I was the only one who ran the whole time, and a bunch of people with their kids out there, so it's fine.
You said the hell with them kids. I don't care how fast they're going. I'm smoking them.
literally, literally. My one competition was, I think, a high schooler cross country girl, and she was just behind me almost the whole way. Finally, she fell off, but I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
I am not getting beat. I'm not getting beat.
You done. You done, girl.
She pulled the
Before we
rock, just
yeah, before we wrap up here, what was that PR in high jump? I know you did high jump.
Man, I loved high jump. I always said to everybody, if I was maybe 2, 3 inches taller, I'm high
And
jumping.
and
I'm a
what
high
was that
jumper.
number? There's a
Man,
point to this.
5'9", I think 5'9.5" actually. That's
All right.
hilarious, y'all. For reference, not that I'm short. I don't think I'm
No, you're
short,
not.
but 5'5", maybe barely pushing 5'5". I'm taller. I look taller than I am, to be honest.
For the
But
record,
five
I
nine
hit
and a quarter. That was awesome. That was so awesome.
for the record, I hit 5'10", um, and almost 6 feet, but that's neither here nor there.
Wow.
Anyways, and was oh god, 17 years ago now. Um, but anyway, the last thing I want to do is just let you already touched on it. You're teaching, you're in IT, doing some business consulting. You sent it to me in a private message, but if you want to just tell everyone what you do with that consulting, it sounded very interesting, very cool.
Oh yeah, awesome. I do bookkeeping, so I do payroll services for just small companies, kind of like mom and pop home health agencies. I do work with a lot of home health agencies, and get them issued out on a platform and get their W-2s to them. They have their own logins and services, and um, just kind of controlling a company's payroll. Just to um, take away from the business side so they can focus more on the business rather than finance. And yeah, and I just happened to acquire that. I took, or I'm taking some classes online, and just to kind of get on my transcript and getting some certifications. I'm kind of deciding what career I want to do. So I started that, and I have about 5 companies.
Hmm.
Small, don't get me wrong, but it's going. My mentor helped me, so I'm definitely less nervous. I did start a business, and I never thought I would. Never thought about it. And I'm circling way back.
Hmm.
Someone had mentioned, like, it might have been Brad, but
Yeah.
did I ever see myself at the Olympics and something along the lines?
Hmm.
April of last year, I got a letter in the mail. I wrote this letter to myself in high school,
Oh.
and they finally sent it to me
Hmm.
because I've been moving so many times. But I finally got this letter, and I'm reading the letter, and the letter says, "Hey Jasmyn, I hope you're doing well. Um, I hope you're I hope you're in a healthy relationship with someone who loves you,
Hmm.
and I hope you made it to the Olympics."
That
What a
close.
cool letter.
And I was like, "What the heck?" I wrote that when I was 15. I got it when I was
15.
20. I think I was 26 at the time. I got it when
Hmm.
I'm 27. If y'all didn't know.
Hmm.
But I got it when I was 26, 11 years later. And I was like, huh, all that happened. I think it also said like I went to college. I said
Sure.
I hope I'm with somebody that I made it to college on a scholarship,
Yeah.
and that I made it to the Olympics. And I was like, you know what? I knew myself exactly who I was when I was 15. That's amazing.
That's really cool.
Oh yeah.
I know Chris is probably going to close us out here soon, but I did have one more question for you. So here you are on our YouTube channel. We're obviously very happy to have you here, but I just have one very simple question for you. Are you subscribed to White Widow Sports?
Subscribe to White Widow Sports. I got you. I will be your sponsor. Let me know. Bring me a T-shirt, and I got you.
When we get T-shirts, we got you.
Absolutely, but no, I will go subscribe when we're done.
Just had to ask,
I guess that's all
I
I
just
really had.
found out about this.
Oh yeah. Well, not a lot of people know too much right now, and we're just kind of figuring it out ourselves. But yeah, we just want to thank you for coming on here. Really cool to hear what you've been up to the last 7 years since I worked there, 6 years since I
Yeah.
worked there. Yeah, everyone, thanks for watching. Please get those subscribe numbers up. We're getting a lot more views these days, which is really cool. Doing this podcast style stuff, we're doing some content where we make narrations with highlight clips and stuff like that. So we're just trying to spread ourselves out there. And yeah, thanks for stopping by, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and Jasmyn, real quick before we leave, I do want to extend an invitation anytime you want to come back. If you rewatch this on YouTube and you're like, "Hey, I should have said this, or I should have brought this up or that up," always you're welcome here. So,
Awesome.
thank you for coming by and hanging out with us.
And and
Yeah,
of
no
course,
problem.
the reason I thought of her, the whole thing just slipped my mind. Please, everyone, if you will, or if you're interested, the nationals for indoor track are going on right now, and that is why I was looking up what's going on out there. Indoor tracks going on right now. Championships. Please go watch that on ESPN Plus. I'm guessing, but yeah, that should be fun. Always a lot of future Olympians going on in there. So cool stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of Olympians, we recently had a conversation on our podcast about obscure sports. I don't know if you know this, but Chris and I are actually going to compete in a chess boxing match. I've actually started training already. I've got my gloves
Wow.
here, so he's going to get knocked out, checkmate, the whole 9 yards. I think it's April
Congrats.
20th.
He doesn't
April
know how to
April
play
20th
chess.
that's going down. But
gotta
when we
do
get
that.
into the Olympics, a lot of times there are sports that maybe you only watch once every 4 years. People will watch stuff because it's an Olympic sport. How many times throughout a year do you watch curling? Never. But you watch it during the Olympics because it's the Olympics,
I don't.
So maybe when we get close to the Olympics, something big's happening in the sprinting world or something, we can get you to come back, give some opinions on that. I think you'd be a really cool kind of expert in the field. You are our
Absolutely.
track analyst.
That's awesome. I'll take it.
Add correspondent to your growing list of achievements.
I'm adding that to my resume.
Yep.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Thanks, Brad. And thank you,
All
Chris.
right.
This has been
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I'm really glad. I love it. I love talking about track and my life and just all the things. I do obviously keep up with NSU on my social media, but yeah.
I do a little bit too, and shout out to so if you see me and you see Jasmyn on here and you happen to be watching, good to see you, Jason Pugh. Good to see you, Pellegrins, Coach Heimerman, anybody like that may stop by and wouldn't have normally. Did love you guys. Nice to see you.